Dialogue. By telling stories inspired by our daily lives, whether they are realistic or metamorphical, we as filmmakers create an opportunity for cross-cultural understanding. To understand the cultural differences, cultures, we often rely on ambassadors or other national representatives. Most often, diplomats are the ones who strive to encourage each other in larger dialogue in an effort to understand one another. But when only a handful of individuals have been assigned to represent the entire people in cross-cultural exchange, a number of representatives or number of stories are inherently missed. Often these stories of minority of marginalized are the stories that left out. Without those stories, which are often the backbones of the entire nation, how can one even begin to understand another culture? I believe this void is filled with the voices of the film or similar artistic endeavors. Films pull at you from every direction. Musically, the acting, the look of film can all play with your emotions. Indeed, film often inspires a range of emotions. Watching a movie can take you to various levels of joy, sadness, disgust, and most importantly, empathy. You don't just empathize with the character in the story. If the story is told effectively, if you empathize the characters, you make an effort to understand them. This makes film instrument and has been and will continue to be used to give a voice to the voiceless and to make sure they are heard. I'm talking about the movie Slumdog Millionaire. I don't know how many of you watched that movie. It's about I'm sure most of you watched that. Slumdog Millionaire is a film that made headlines about 5 years ago, directed by Danny Boyle, written by Simon Beaufoy, produced by Slumdog Films and Warner Independent Pictures. It is a story of Jamal Malik, a child born in slums of Bombay. A slumdog and the routine hardship he faced. He has been chaptered over and over again in his life to a point where he could almost rely on being chaptered again. He was marginalized because of where he came from. However, the story unfolds the brilliant and uplifting way. While on the game show, India's version of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, he realized that his hardship have given him answers to the game show questions, leading ultimately to security, wealth, fame. That may be fate had a hand bringing him to this point, so that he could win the game and be reunited with the love of his life, Latika. It is hard to forget that film touched the extremely dark topics: poverty, sex trafficking, drug trafficking, and even Bombay's riots, which killed 900 people. But ironically, this film was extremely uplifting. Watching it, you get a feeling that people can overcome anything and that love conquers all. It won 8 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, and 7 BAFTA Awards, including Best Film. Telling the stories of marginalized is a recurring theme in film from every corner of the world. In the US, films like Glory Road and film on the first All-American college basketball team, I'm Sam, and film describing the plight of an individual with mental challenges, there is a triumph. Both are extremely moving and ultimately uplifting. Other films do not have clear resolution. Gandhi, yes, India gained independence, but at what cost? Hotel Rwanda, that's a movie, right? One hotel owner was able to save some, but what about the mass genocide that helping outside in his building? These films closely based on true stories, inspired the different level of understanding than documentaries. But the same subject, documentaries about the same subject. Marginalized groups in many cultures are given voice voice and point of view which allows reviewers to realize the grasp their level of hardship, which often don't have clear resolution. For the last 3 years, I have been working on this film that is very close to my heart. That's Papillaevita. I'm talking about the movie in Panorama playing now. Master of Fact, tomorrow is a preview on IMAX. That's a big preview. It's been shown like 3 times, but tomorrow is a big preview, then 3 more shows. If anybody interested, you can watch. Written and directed by Jane Cherian, is my friend, he's from New York, and produced by myself and my colleague Prakash Bare. It is a story about Dalits of India. Dalits comes from the Sanskrit word which means group, suppressed or broken pieces. They are a group of people in India who at one point were oppressed due to their places in India, India's abolished caste system. They were commonly also known as untouchables. That word will be everybody familiar with untouchables, right? And were subject to work what at one point was considered polluted. Dalits were manual laborers. They would clean streets, latrines, and sewers. Due to these reasons and variety of other which are too detailed to go through there, they were segregated from the rest of the society. In 1950s, number of laws came to play attempt to integrate them to society. These laws made it illegal to observe their untouchability because today their situation is much more there than that. The socially ingrained prejudice against them have still led to limited access to vital societal resources such as education and healthcare. The film Papillaevita is being screened at Berlin International Film Festival in the Panorama section. The movie is about a group of Dalits in Kerala who are living on the land they are not supposed to inhabit. They argue with the local officials that they deserve some land of their own. They deserve schools and health care, access to food and water, but government is doing little to recognize their struggle, and eventually after protest, the different levels of oppression and torture, they are pushed out. There is no triumph in their struggle. That is the end. They are forced to leave after protest and burning Gandhi's effigies, and after the dreams of what they want are shattered, it's all over. Their homes are destroyed by police, and soon after they are all forced to leave. It is tragic reminder that even after a strong fight, sometimes there is no resolution, there is no hope, that life isn't full of happy endings. The feeling of entitlement of non-Dalits, the use of sexual aggression and as a way to assert power over both men and women, and the struggle of identity and their place in a larger landscape of India, where all points to that were driven home honestly and extremely vividly in the film. Due to this approach and variety of other international elements, Papillaevita was not approved by censor board in India. Indeed, it was banned film. But in this film, we pushed boundaries not for the sake of pushing boundaries, but for the sake of telling the truth. Not the truth that you would find in the documentary or this subject, but truth you find in building a relation with someone who is struggling for their rights as a citizen of a civilized society. As one of the only Indian films, actually there is 2 films, one of the 2 Indian films screened in the 64th annual Berlin International Film Festival, and we are honored that the struggle of these people can be shared on larger international platform. I'm sure many people at this conference would agree that many forms of media, books, poetry, music, dance, theater, all deeply influenced by historical and cultural events. But I believe that film is a unique position to touch wider audience because it is visual. The large reason being that variety of internationally recognized platforms exist to share these stories with people who may never have had access to it. Festivals like Berlin International Film Festival and festivals like throughout the world propel these films into limelight, which allows more lives to be touched by those beautiful stories. Thank you for the organizers, and especially Mark Donfried, for inviting me to share my thoughts with all today.
Mr. Thekkek, thank you very much. We are so impressed to hear you speak
Thank you.
as the representative of so many people.
Thank you.
Do you accept some questions?
Sure, if I can answer.
When you say India, isn't your feeling that you are speaking on behalf of so many different cultures? Can
That's
one speak about India as one single? We could not speak about Europe as one single culture. We are split in so many. And what about India? Is it not the mistake of the Europeans to have such placative looks and not to distinguish what is going on really in the regions?
Because of the culture and the language, we have more than 30 different languages. So entirely different dialects and all that. Same like different culture, because the normal foreigner or somebody from Europe, they don't know the real diversity of India unless you study that, because that's what the uniqueness of India. That's what I think. But the marginalized discrimination is everywhere. In India, I'm talking about the Dalits. Actually, they are the native people. They are a little more darker, shorter, because they live in the jungle for so all they asking for their rights. They are there for a long time before all the people come. They are asking the basic rights of education, health care, and food and water. That the government, so many governments came, communist, Congress or whatever, so many years passed, and Gandhi was there. Gandhi was, they don't trust Gandhi anymore. That's what the film shows, because everybody give promises, so nothing happens. After the independence of so many years, they still in the jungle. They don't have all these rights, the basic rights. I don't know, somebody is doing something, but they don't get anything. That's a problem.
Questions from the audience?
Hi, my name is Natalia and I'm from Poland. I have a question. According to the film Slumdog Millionaire, do you think that the life in India, the film reflects the life in India, or do you think that the movie over-exaggerated the harshness of...
I would say it's a little bit over-exaggerated, but it's the truth. There is slums there, but now a little bit changes, and a movie sometimes a little bit over-exaggerated, but that is a good movie, is my opinion, because at least they are telling what's going on in India. At least people have an opportunity to think, what is this? If I left India like 32 years ago. I was shocked when I said, but I never been Bombay. Even though I go to Bombay, I never noticed this. That's the advantage of the film. It's a visual media. You can bring the truth out. Everybody knows that there is something in India. It is shocking. People are living in the slum. Then people think about a solution. That's a good thing. But I'm sure it's 90% is truth. Because artists have the right to bring the truth. There's no censorship. In India, our movie is banned because we are banning Gandhi's effigy. And Gandhi is the father of the nation. But like I said, we're trying to we are not crossing the boundaries for the sake of crossing the boundaries, but to tell the truth. But truth is always painful.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm
Hi.
Camilla from Italy. I was wondering, you call yourself an activist.
Yeah.
and here we're talking about cultural diplomacy. So, in your opinion, can activism and cultural diplomacy go hand in hand, or are they two completely different things?
It's
can
tough.
you be a diplomatic activist?
It is not easy. That's why I have a lot of problems with this movie. The director is also very activist, and so we made this movie to bring out the truth, to support the Dalits in India, but that became a big problem. But we are trying to get the attention of the people. At least they will talk about it. Later, people think about maybe we got to do something to help them. But we've faced a lot of problems. We are banned in Kerala. It's a Malayalam movies speak in Kerala, but some English in there. But I'm an American actor acting there. First banned in Kerala. Second, we went to New Delhi. Same problem. Then they cut like 52 cuts. They cut all the bad things about Gandhi. They muted. Then they fogged the effigy burning parts. After 52 cuts, we got censor board. But what's the point of watching the movie like that? But we bought the movie, selected in Berlin Film International is a big thing. We have 7 shows, all shows are full. So we conveying the message to the world. There is a people without voice, voices of the voiceless people still living under very poor circumstances. That we are very happy and activist. I'm very happy that I brought up here. It's a world audience is watching this. So that will make an effect to the Indian government. That's what I think. So in that way, this movie is, any movie is good, telling the truth here.
Thank you. 2 more questions and then we have to finish, please. Yeah.
Namaste ji.
Thank you.
My name is Seema. I'm from the UK.
UK.
And my question is kind of touching on what you've just spoken about is, sorry. Now, your film, I've read about it and it sounds great and I look forward to watching it. But I would class it more as like art cinema, Indian art cinema than Bollywood. So what are your hopes or your realistic expectations of any mainstream success for this movie? Like in India, do you think large audiences are going to watch it?
No, in India it's already banned. Yes, already banned because they give censorship with 52 cuts. That means it's lost all the message from the movie. We can run the movie in India with all this new version of the movie. Plus it's a realistic, it's not a Bollywood entertain kind of movie. So I don't think this will attract a lot of audience. We have no hope. But we made a good movie to give a message to the world. So it's getting a lot of international attention now.
But the message should surely be directed more towards the people of India.
Yes,
than the world.
The upper caste people, this is a lost, they get the message from, because a lot of writings, when you show in Cannes, for example, a lot of articles all over the newspapers and all that. So they all read up, how come this movie got so many attention in Berlin Film Festival? So that will make you think there is something which they don't think about it. They can be solved. So in that way, it is good for the people who are suffering there. Then we'll be very happy. But I don't think we can, unless we sell to the distributor here, selected here, awards, then the distributor, art houses buy this movie, then we make money. Otherwise, I don't think we make any money on this.
Thank you. Last question? No? No more questions. So thank you again for having come to RCD and good luck for the future.
Thank you.